Question from Timothy. Can I combine housing and transit spending limits? If I spend 28% on housing, but I live without a car and spend less than 1% of my income on transit costs, otherwise I have to spend more for a car plus cheaper suburban housing. So he says, I see the money guy rules. 25% on housing, 23.8 rule on car buying. How much wiggle room do I have?
You know what, Timothy, I want to give him some credit here.
It's creative.
No, because seriously, we here's a problem that, and you see other content creators struggle with this too, is that we have these rules, we give these guidelines or benchmarks for people to follow, and then we go through these housing crises and other things, and it's like, how in the world are we supposed to do this? We live in the East Coast where housing's so expensive. Timothy might just built a bridge. I'm going to call Timothy the bridge builder, because he is exactly right that somebody who lives, like, let's talk about a Boston, a New York, where they have public transportation, a good infrastructure, DC, you could do all kind of places. If you don't have a car and you're taking in your transportation costs into that, I think that I would be willing to give some grace into the fact that, oh, look at you. You
keep saying what you're saying.
But then I'll let you throw cold
I like
water
this.
on it. But no, but it is interesting, because some of those communities that have those infrastructure things have higher cost of living. But I could see how those things do integrate. Just like good financial planning is very personalized, very specialized to your situation. I think it is interesting, because I love our system. And I'm not taking away from our system, but I like that Timothy is trying to see, how does this pertain to his specific situation? And if he's got public transportation and he's not spending any money, hardly maybe 1%, then yeah, why shouldn't he be able to use some of that grace to let him have a little more housing, as long as he's not neglecting pay yourself and invest for yourself first, and the financial order of operations.
So there's only...
I'll try to, because he's giving me these eyes over here, so I'm trying to cover everything.
What's Bo's spicy
so he can't
take?
make me look silly.
No.
Make me look silly.
I'm not going to make you look silly, because I agree with everything you said, but this is the cautionary tale that I would give you. Right.
Ooh.
So back,
do you need to put a flashlight under your your chin?
So back when
stories.
So we have a bunch of financial associates here just passed the CFP exam, and one of the things you learn when you study for the Certified Financial Planning exam is these rules of thumb. And one of the rules of thumb is that all of your debt service across all debts should not exceed 35% of your gross income. That's kind of like the stated financial planning rule of thumb. So you add housing, student loans, credit cards, auto loans, all those things should not exceed 35%. Here's the one problem, Timothy, I have with your idea of, okay, well, if I don't have the auto one, can I squeeze that and apply it over to housing?
So you're not a bridge builder to Bo, Timothy. Take note.
You're just not trading the same types of debt. You're not trading the same commitment. Because remember, the 23.8, when we talk about that 8% of your gross income, we're only planning on you walking away from that for 3 years. What that means is that after that car is paid off, once the 23 has been satisfied, that 8% can then be absorbed back into your savings rate, can be absorbed back in there. What happens is when you squeeze your car, say, all right, you know what? They told me I could do 8% on car, but I'm only doing 1%. So I'm going to take that 7%. I'm going to take that 7%. I'm going to add it to my 25% housing. I'm going to be at 32%. You just signed yourself up for 32% over the next 30 years. What I'm arguing is that you traded a temporary allowance for consumption spending and you made it pretty long term. That's not to say you can't do it. That's not to even say don't do it. It's just to say recognize what you're trading off, right? If I'm going to commit that I'm going to spend 32% of my income on housing because I don't have an auto budget, an auto spend, I'm signing up to spend that for a very long period of time. Whereas with the car, it's going to fall off. It's going to be temporal. It's going to be temporary. So just make sure you recognize that and are aware of that going into it.
You're a mean one, Mr. Bo. Because it's I think, look, you're not wrong, but I'm going to give Timothy another lifeline here because I want to let him to keep the title of bridge builder. If your income is going up to where it can overcome, like, because I know in parts of my career, you know, because maybe you're in a professional track where your earning potential is huge, but you're just at the beginning of your career and you have to get that 10,000 hours before they actually pay you the dividend of your value. There's nothing wrong that says that you can't do a hybrid of what Bo and I are talking about, is that yes, while you're in this phase and your income has the potential to go up, you could combine those things because in 3 years you'll be in a completely different situation. You can go with that. And that way you can hopefully still smile at Grinchy Bo as well as good time rock and roll Brian.